I think one of the worst feelings you can have is reacting poorly to a situation and then looking back on that situation and wondering why you handled it that way. Like for instance, I used to get so heated over the most minor inconveniences. Last year, I frequently had to drive my sister to work because she just refuses to get a car. I mean, why don't you want a car? You need it for so many things. Anyways, yeah, I would have to drive her to work, and knowing that I had to step away from whatever I was doing for 20 to 30 minutes made me furious. And looking back on it, it's such an overreaction to a very trivial thing. But I never contemplated my reaction, and it just kept happening over and over every single time that I had to drive her somewhere. This is because I lacked what I believe to be the most important skill to improving every facet of your life, which is having a high self-awareness or understanding oneself. This video is going to be divided up into 3 parts. The first part, we're going to go over how to improve your reaction catching skills. In the second part, we're going to go over the first question that you must ask yourself to develop self-awareness. And in part 3, we're going to go over the second question and probably the most important question you need to ask yourself. And you do need all 3 of these things to actually develop good self-awareness. So just do yourself a favor and watch the video through. You leave one of these out, I can guarantee you probably won't be as self-aware. So self-awareness starts with becoming sensitive to your reaction to things, whether they're good or bad. That's basically all of the things that you're consuming. Everybody to an extent understands what they do and don't like what they like to eat or what music they like to listen to, etc. So we're not gonna go over that type of stuff. What I wanna talk about is more of the unconscious things. So to first start off with this, to first really catch yourself in a situation where you're trying to evaluate your reaction, you first must be present and mindful. You know, I've tried to pinpoint when exactly it was that my self-awareness started to develop, and it was around the same exact time that I started to take mindfulness seriously and practice meditation. So why does presentness and mindfulness relate to self-awareness anyway? Well, I mean, it's pretty impossible to catch your certain reactions to things when you're thinking about the future or the past. When I started to become more present-minded, catching myself and identifying the thing that I needed to work on became so much easier. And I have found that meditation is the best way to do this. I've talked about it in a ton of videos, how beneficial meditation can be, and I haven't really talked about how it can benefit you in terms of self-awareness. So meditation actually kind of works as a killing 2 birds with 1 stone thing, where not only does it help you to be more present, but it also is a great time to ask yourself the questions that I'm going to go over, and it just helps you to self-reflect better. So for example, I have these recurring reactions to the same situations that happen over and over, but I wasn't even able to understand that fully until I was fully present-minded. In the past, before I applied all this stuff, when I had a really bad night's sleep, or I just felt like when I got up and I had that brain fog and that tiredness, I'd always react to everything in that day very negatively. And I know it's tough for everybody to do that because, you know, you're low on sleep, but I did assess it more as I understood that, okay, there's a reason that I feel this way, and it's the same situation that I've seen a million times in the past. We've all been tired a million times before, but I was finally able to break that pattern of being that grumpy ass dude because of how much more present I was, and I was able to just not be nearly as grumpy. Now let's get on to the first question that you need to ask yourself. The first question you need to ask is, why does the internet and these algorithms on social media know more about me than myself? All right, that's not actually the first question, but if you want to keep your online identity safe and keep your self-awareness to yourself, you can use the sponsor of today's video, which is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN that keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all of your information sent between your device and the internet, and a VPN also swaps the location of your device to a new one. And the way I use the location swapping is for anime, of course. A lot of you who have been on the channel for a while know that I'm a big weeb and I like to watch anime easily, and I don't want to go to some illegal streaming website and have a bunch of ads pop up on my computer, and that's usually only possible on the major streaming websites like Netflix. So I go to Netflix and then I use Surfshark's location changer to change my location to Japan, and then I get loads more anime on Netflix. One in particular that I've watched before and I'm gonna watch again is Tokyo Ghoul. Also, as a content creator, creator, I need to be careful of protecting my online information. That's super important. Because a VPN encrypts my information, I can stress less about any sort of phishing or security breach. If you're interested in getting access to more titles on all of these streaming services, and you also don't want the government to be tracking every single thing you do, then go to the first link in my description and use the code Cole, and you're gonna get 83% off plus an extra 3 months free. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you're literally gonna lose nothing by trying it. Click the first link in the description and use my code. All right, let's get into the actual first question that you need to ask yourself, and that is why. Why did I feel the way I did, or why did I react the way that I did? Now you can see why it's so important to be present-minded, because without being present-minded, you can't even think to ask yourself about what's happening with the situation at hand. Asking this in your head is not a bad idea, but I think if you really want to work through this type of question, it's better to analyze your thoughts by writing them down. And this is what I do when I want to know why I react or why I feel this way about a certain thing. So yeah, I really suggest that you write down this why and answer it on a piece of paper. In the example of me driving my sister to work, because I started to be more present-minded, I asked myself why I was reacting the way that I was. And I concluded that I thought that this driving her was taking much longer than it should, and that I was overemphasizing my work over my family, which you should never do. All right, cool, we've gotten a why. It might be or might not be correct. I'll explain that a little bit more as we get into the second question now. This second question, I personally believe, is more important than the first. With the first question, a lot can go wrong. If you ask yourself this and you write something down, it may or may not be right, and it could also be very biased based on how you feel in that moment, or the type of person that you were in the past that is now clouding your judgment of the person you are now. And so you write down your why, but it's not really the you that is here now. It's more so that past you. And of course, constantly asking why about a certain situation. Why did this happen? Why do I feel this way? All it's gonna really do is cause overanalyzation, and that only leads to more problems. The question that's even more important to ask is what? What takes you out of the past thinking mindset, which is caused by asking why, and into the present? And through this question, I realized something, that self-awareness isn't so much about knowing why things happen or why you feel a certain way, but rather how you deal with those things. Because a truly self-aware person still has the same reactions usually, but they just know how to handle them better. This isn't to say that the why is completely useless always, but it's just the fact that you can become too fixated on the why, and if that's the only question that you ask yourself, it might not return an accurate answer. So to explain how I asked this what, let me take you back to me driving. After asking my why, which to be honest, I can never completely know for sure if that's totally right, I asked myself, what can I do next time to not react in such an angry manner? And the solution was simply to understand that there's no other option for me here to not drive my sister. Like I had to, there was no other alternative. And it gives me the time to spend a little time with her, which I don't usually do. So it would be irrational for me to get mad at this. And what am I gonna do about this situation? I can't control the fact that I have to drive her. So what I'm gonna do about it is change me getting angry. The what is so much more powerful than the why, because it allows you to start looking forward and looking for solutions to your problems instead of trying so hard to understand why the problems are happening. I am very surprised you decided to stick around till this far in the video. It shows me that you're very serious about developing this. So I want to give you one more tip that I've identified and that I feel like is not talked about too much in terms of becoming more self-aware. You should start paying attention to when you feel really good too. As humans, we're more wired to focus on the negative in things, the drama, things that are causing our survival brain to say, hey, stop doing this, or hey, this is causing discomfort or pain. But it's just as important to analyze when you feel good, because then you know when you go into a situation or an experience or a thing, if you're going to like it or not. It gives you the full spectrum of knowing yourself. The negative is only one half of it. So also write down situations where you feel really good, or other things that you consume or people that you hang around with. Identify those things and write them down so you know where to go and what you need and what you want to the fullest. Thank you to all the patrons on this channel on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube where I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts you can't find anywhere else. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description, patreon.com/Cole Hastings. That is it for this video. Have a good rest of your day or night.